Okay, I suspect I might get some flack for my number one choice of Smoking Aces, my favourite movie of 2006. I guess all I can say is you like what you like, and I can't really make excuses. I realise it's fairly cheesy, really over the top and mad, but I got such a hell of a kick out of it. I love this movie. It's one of the movies I can watch again and again. Jeremy Piven is fantastic in the role as Buddy Aces, absolutely brilliant. Common also absolutely fantastic as his right hand man. One of the most underrated performances of recent times. I thought he was great. Chris Pine, brilliant. You know, but this was before his kind of role in Star Trek. He was great here as this kind of mad sociopathic killer. Fantastic. Alicia Keys as well, brilliant in her role. It's a funny, you know, it takes a pill of itself. It doesn't take itself seriously. It has fun. I really like movies with kind of ensemble casts, and I think this might help my reason of liking it. I like when you get a large cast and you get to mix and match and see them act with different people, like, oh, you know, those two are now talking to each other, now these two are, and all that kind of thing. It's just a nerdy, geeky film thing I like. But yeah, and I love films like Die Hard, so I think this is one of the other reasons I like this movie. As I say, I can't really make any excuses, but I can't deny it either. This is one of my favourite movies of all time, one of my favourite movies of the decade, and an absolute load of fun to watch. It's just really, really fun. Okay, so Jackass. Jackass number 2. Miles better than the first movie. Miles better. This is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, personally. I'm a big supporter of this movie. I really am. I was surprised how much I liked it, because I really didn't like the first one, and I'm not the. I do kind of like Jackass. I think there's some of them in the group that annoy me a lot of the time, like Bam Margera and Knoxville to a certain extent, and also Chris Pontius a little bit. However, this just seemed to work. They all seemed to come together, and what I really liked about it is it never felt like a cash in. It never felt too much like a cash in. It felt like they genuinely had good ideas. They waited long enough to think of those ideas, then they got them all together and they made a hell of a funny movie out of it. It didn't feel like, because the Jackass thing had kind of gone by then, you know, people didn't really care as much anymore. So it wasn't like they were cashing in popularity, and it didn't even feel like they were trying to get popularity back either, because it's not like, because this film was successful, and it's not like they followed it up with another one straight away. They did a few direct-to-DVD things, but I honestly really am a big supporter of this film. I think it's one of the funniest movies of the decade, one of the best comedies. My favourite stunts, in case you're wondering, are well, not stunts but things, are the riot kind of gun thing where they get like pellets shot at them. Chris Pontius, the whole mouse snake thing, snake in the ball pit, the medicine ball thing, the trick they play on Bam Margera. There's more. There's probably more. Oh, the bull thing when he's smoking the cigarette and gets hit by the bull. Oh, the bear trap. The song and dance at the end. Oh, the switch. The switch is brilliant. When they switch the parents with Preston Lacey. That was fantastic. Yeah, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and I really a big supporter of this film. Inside Man is one of the most intelligent action movies of recent years. Brilliant central performances by Denzel Washington and Clive Owen, who plays a character reminiscent of Alan Rickman in Die Hard. There's a lot of Alan Rickman in his performance, which is great. He's my favourite. Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber is my favourite villain, so I was glad to see that. It's well shot. It's just very, very interesting. Jodie Foster's character is a bit pointless, but it's not bad. It's alright that she's there. Yeah, it's shot well. It doesn't rely on action. It takes its time. There's hardly any action. Actually, the only really action scene is one that's done in kind of hypothetical situation. It doesn't actually happen. So, but don't let it put you off. This movie is very interesting. It's there's not much action. If not called an action movie, there's not much action. There's it is worth watching. It's one of the best heist kind of movies around, and definitely one of the best movies of the decade. A fantastic movie. Okay, this is Children of Men, an absolutely amazing movie that's is probably my favourite kind of dystopia movie of all time. Clive Owen, absolutely fantastic in a kind of everyman kind of role. What was really interested in me was I saw this in the cinema in the UK because it was released in the UK first, and I saw it and I thought it was really, really, really good. However, I didn't think it would turn into the kind of success it did, because though maybe not commercially, it's very critically acclaimed. It's on the IMDb's, not that that means much these days, but it's on IMDb's top 250, and it was critically acclaimed. It turned up a lot of critics' #1, and just generally their top 10 lists as well. Michael Caine is a really brilliant kind of off the wall kind of performance, really goofy kind of performance from him. This movie throws a lot of surprises at you too. It's not Hollywood, it goes a different way. It's shot really well, kind of handheld, guerrilla style. It's really, really interesting. A lot of one shots. From the cinematic point, it's a very interesting film. Really worth checking this one out if you haven't seen it. I think you'd really like it. It's smart, intelligent, same thing. It's smart and it's interesting, and it's brilliantly acted and amazingly directed. 16 Blocks is a lot like Smoking Aces and Jackass 2 in the sense that it's one of those movies that probably doesn't get much respect and critical acclaim, but I'm a big supporter of it. I personally really like this movie as an action movie. I think it's intelligent enough and different enough. Yeah, okay, Bruce Willis is kind of playing the same role, but he's good in it. David Morse is fantastic, steals the show, David Morse. And Mos Def brings a brilliant supporting role to the table. I don't think it's as good as his role in Hitchhiker's Guide, but still it's very, very good. Okay, so Little Miss Sunshine is a great little comedy movie. I think maybe it could have been a little darker for my taste. I think perhaps its take on the whole children's beauty pageant thing could have been a little bit more cynical. I think it was wrapped up a bit too nicely, the whole bit there. I don't think the characters objected to it enough, apart from Paul Dano's character. Speaking of Paul Dano, he was actually amazing in this film, just as good as his role in There Will Be Blood. Also Steve Carell was fantastic in the movie. Check it out, it's really, really good. And Greg Kinnear as well. Some really good central performances in a quirky, interesting movie that I'm glad it deserved the Oscar acclaim that it got. Okay, this film is half Nelson, and it does hit some cliches at times, because it is kind of a cliche kind of genre, the whole teacher working in an inner city school type thing, trying to show the kids the right way. But he's a flawed character. He's a drug user. He's not quite all there. There's kind of a weird kind of thing with his relationship with the girl that kind of gets strange at times. So it's not straight and narrow. It's odd. It's very different in that sense. It's a cliche genre, but I think they do enough with it to make it different. And Ryan Gosling's central performance is absolutely fantastic. Just brilliant. Kind of likeable yet often at the same. He does things that make you feel, oh, he's alright, and he does things that make you hate him, and I think that's what this kind of character needed. So check this film out. It's half Nelson. Okay, so Martin Scorsese returns to the crime genre and gets the Oscar for The Departed. A brilliant movie based on a brilliant Japanese film called Infernal Affairs, which is a great movie in itself. This is a really good adaptation of that. It's kind of accessible yet still gritty and rough, and at the same time it has both elements. It's kind of polished, but it still has that Scorsese grittiness and sharpness to it. Great performances by Jack Nicholson, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, who I think is probably my favourite performance in the film. Ray Winstone as well, and Matt Damon, to a lesser extent Matt Damon. I prefer him in other films, but no, it's very, very good. I don't really have to talk about this too much. I'm sure you've all seen it. It's really, really good, really good.